Welcome to Toffee TV. I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the studio today by Everton's Echo correspondent, Chris Beesley, and he's in to talk about his new book, which is about, it's 100 games at Goodison Park. Obviously Everton, we've moved from Goodison Park, well the men's team have moved from Goodison Park. We have had some incredible games at that stadium, and you've written a book with your 100 that you've selected, or 100 events. So how did the book come about, Chris? What was the idea for it?
Yeah, obviously we've known for a long time. Thanks for having me in.
Pleasure.
Talk about this, and obviously our travels across the USA.
We'll get into that in a bit.
But we've known for a long time, haven't we, that this moment has been coming with the stadium move, and I did a lot of it back in 2021, so we'd had all the COVID and been stuck in there, so I got my teeth stuck into it back then, so I did a lot of them. So I thought, well, let's do 100 games. You're never going to have 100 that everyone's going to agree on, ever, but a definitive list. But what I've tried to do, I consulted people like Dave Prentice, Gavin Buckland, Steve Johnson, who does the Everton Results website, stuff like that. Try and get my own holy trinity there of Everton authors, just a bit of a brains trust sort of ideas with them, and then my own ideas, and come up with a list. So there are games from every single decade at the ground there, 14 decades of football at English football's first purpose-built ground. And we start with the first game, finish with the last game, but it's not like a chronological list. They're a little bit in the middle. It's thematic. We start with glory days. We've got landmark occasions. I mean, we were talking about it before we came on air. Obviously, we've got Bayern Munich pretty much thereafter. It's after we do the first game, we've got Bayern Munich then, and the landmark events, stuff like the Mönchengladbach, the penalty shootout, derby matches, section on Dixie Dean because of his contribution, even decisive defeats. We've got we've got a few in there. We've not got the Liverpool 5-0 in there, but we do have the Tranmere 3-0, stuff like that. Quirky moments as well. Obviously, Sheedy's twice taking free kicks, stuff like that, and then obviously finishing on the final game. So as I said, I'd actually gone as far as doing 99 of the games, and thankfully we had a few late rewrites in that last season when David Moyes came back. We maybe weren't going to get into Sean Dyche, but after David Moyes came back, we had the quickest goal from an Everton player in the club's history, Abdoulaye Doucouré, the 4-0 against Leicester City, so I felt that had to go in. Obviously James Tarkowski's equaliser, the last kick of a game from an Everton player in a Goodison derby,
and the 2-2 win.
After 130 years against Liverpool. I mean, I spoke to him afterwards, and I said, does you realise the magnitude of this? And he obviously was pumped for the occasion, but I think to try and compute that in his brain and saying, look, Everton been playing Liverpool for over 130 years here. And if you'd not scored that goal with the last kick of a game from an Everton player, they'd have finished with a winning record at Goodison. So that's in there too, and of course the last game. So and a few bonus features. Obviously, the '66 World Cup. Goodison is, of course, the only English club ground to have a semi-final there, as well as all the group games there, and the North Korea, Portugal as well. And there was a huge controversy at the time. People don't realise. I think they kind of half know the tale. But Goodison was actually going to have the England semi-final in '66. And they made the call less than 48 hours before the game to switch it, so England would play their game at Wembley, and Goodison got Soviet Union, West Germany, and there was huge uproar, rightly so, about that. So that's in there as well. 2 FA Cup finals at Goodison, and a record women's crowd that stood for 98 years. So hopefully there's something for all Evertonians to enjoy that. People, if you know your history or you want to learn your history, if you just want to, there's been a lot of books obviously about Everton, especially this year. I just feel if there's one book, maybe tell you all the important things, hopefully, that you need to know. I mean, there's great people like Gavin Buckland. He's sort of done deep dives into certain elements of the club's history, but just tell the whole sort of definitive story of those 133 years at Goodison. Hopefully, this is the one. And we all think our clubs are special. We all think there's a special story, but Goodison really is unique in so many aspects of the ground, in terms of it's the most top flight fixtures have been played there, and it's all those incredible stories. Like I said, the only ground to have a World Cup semi-final, 2 FA Cup finals as well. So hopefully there's something there for young and old Blues fans, and hopefully general football fans alike.
It's an incredible history around Goodison Park. You're absolutely right with the Tarkowski thing as well, is that people, Liverpool fans some of my mates, you know, still sort of, the 2-2 win and all that. But imagine the boot on the other foot and us winning at Anfield, and they score with the last kick of the last ever game at Anfield, as if they wouldn't be celebrating in exactly the same manner. The way it was scored, by who it was scored, where it was scored, everything was, if you'd have written it and put it in a TV programme, you'd all be like, as if, you know, the way it happened. So, of course, it'd have been better if that was a volley to make it 3-2 and we won the game. But it was so important, like you just said. But when you just talking then about all of the stuff that's gone on there, it's a great opportunity, this book, for people who maybe are just getting into Everton. We've met a lot of them in the United States who have been Evertonians for less than 20 years and all that. This is a great opportunity for people like that to get hold of the real history of what is an iconic stadium, and it's still going to be there for people to visit. Obviously, Everton's women's team are going to play there now, but it's such, like you just said, packed it into 14 decades. There's not too many of them stadiums around with what Everton or what people will have witnessed right back into the 1800s, really. Yeah,
it is a unique legacy. Like I said, we all like to think that our clubs are special, our grounds are special, but there's so many things about Goodison are unique, and it kind of tells more or less the story of Everton itself, because obviously the first league title at Anfield, but then every success since then has been at Goodison Park. So it's the whole story of the club's growth and all what it means to be an Evertonian. So hopefully, whether it's somebody from Dan Freakin, dare I say, to like you say, to a young fan either on Merseyside or over in the USA, wherever they are in the world, they say, I want to know about Everton and what is it all about. I've got that passion for the team. I want to follow them, and hopefully contained within those pages, it tells that unique story. So there's some incredible tales in there, because I don't just like wax lyrical about a corner in 1895 or something like that. The match reports kind of have a backstory to them, so it's more like the general ideas of what was happening at the time or something like that. And there's some incredible tales in there about some of the players and what happened to them and things like that. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, it sounds a bit obvious, but I hope it's a very readable book in that terms of it's a fast pace to it, about 800 words in each game, then you move on to another game, and rather than getting bogged down in any particular element of the club, hopefully because there's so many different things we're looking at there, it will actually be something that people can pick up and sort of move on, hopefully quite easily, and be sort of engrossed in the content. That's what I'm hoping.
Of course, that's what you're looking for, and people will be the judge of that, obviously, won't they, by reading it. I think the thing as well with Goodison, and obviously you'll have captured this in the games, but even with games that may not be in there, or moments that may not be in there, is that because we have moved to a new stadium now, and we were all there Saturday and saw the beginning of that, when you think back to just how important Goodison's been in Everton's history, even in the last few years, I mean, it's probably fair to say, even though Everton's home record hasn't been amazing in the last few years, basically because the team hasn't been amazing, there's been those moments that place sort of ensured our safety, really, our survival. When you think back and you look back and go, how are we still in the Premier League with some of the positions we got ourselves into and were able to dig ourselves out of? When you're trying to encapsulate all of those decades, how difficult is it to leave things out? Because is Crystal Palace in there or not?
Crystal Palace.
So Crystal Palace is obviously a huge one, and that wouldn't be a game that any of us celebrate. None of us celebrate it. We don't. People, there was criticism at that time. I remember I was on Sky Sports the next morning, and he was going, "What a great night!" And it's like, it was a relief night. It wasn't a night of celebration. It was a night of huge relief. But nevertheless, it's an iconic game. We were 2-0 down in a game. We were gone. We had Arsenal away the next game. We were relegated. We were 2-0 down, and then Michael Keane scores the goal, and the whole thing changes. And it is those moments, isn't it, that maybe are nowhere near the level of Bayern Munich, nowhere near the level of a World Cup, and things like that, or maybe the last ever game for the occasion, but are really iconic in Everton's history. because of the way Goodison is.
Yeah, it has all the people within it have dragged Everton over the line in recent years. Yeah, there's an actual section on there called Battling Displays, and that's kind of been the cue to get a lot more of those recent highlights, shall we call them, in there, because they're certainly not glory days.
No, not at all.
And but let's be realistic. That for the Premier League era has been a lot of Everton's existence. Proudly, you know, the only club who are both founder members of the Football League and then ever presence in the Premier League. But all those 3 last day deciders before you even get to Crystal Palace, we've got the 3 great escapes on the very last day of the season, and you know, they're all in there. It's not something to be celebrated, but it's part of Everton's recent history, and it is what the club has become, and what we're hoping now they can move on from at the new stadium. But it's mentioned in the book. And the likes of Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, Paul Scholes, so many people have actually commented on the atmosphere at Goodison Park, and whether it's those kind of battling displays or, so we say, the better ones of recent years, the 1-0 against Manchester United in 2005, Duncan's second time around, those kind of nights, that Goodison has come into its own, and again, without being sort of self-congratulatory or patting ourselves on the back as Evertonians, I think outsiders would say, no, it really is a special atmosphere. I think Wenger said, you know, Goodison was always a lot more hostile than Anfield. Scholes said the same as well. Ferguson.
Gary Neville waxing lyrical about it after the derby, didn't we? Saying this place is unbelievable.
So that's not coming from Everton, it's coming from rivals. So it should be celebrated and appreciated in that. So that's what I guess the hope has to be for the new stadium, because you got the best of both worlds. It could have been a soulless bowl, but it's the way it's been designed by Dan Meese to be tight and intimate, to retain that atmosphere, and you've got a third extra Evertonians in there. That has to be the hope. But it really is. It's a special story. I felt it had to be told at this time. I think it was the right time to tell it, and for Evertonians to celebrate that, because it's been a really traumatic period for the fans in there. It's probably, I know there's not. Like we said, it's so close to what could have been disaster in terms of relegations and what that would have entailed. There's so many sort of near misses in that respect. But even though they've kept their heads above water and stayed in the Premier League, it's been tough, hasn't it? For all those, the trauma, you know, the points deductions, the like I said, the relegation battles. It's been like a whole generation of Evertonians have brought up that. I mean, I've got 3 children myself. I talk about your lad who was over in the USA with us. That's what they've been brought up on, the longest trophy drought in the club's history, and it can't be a coincidence that Goodison Park, the grand old lady who we all love, was one of the preeminent club grounds in the country for most of her existence, but she fell behind so many of her rivals in the Premier League era. That can't be a coincidence that it's in the bottom 3 in the Premier League for generating matchday revenue, with Everton going 30 years without a trophy. So they go hand in hand. So that's what you've got to hope with the new stadium, is that those revenues that they get from the home field advantage that we talk about. Because let's have it right, that Everton, you talked about those lack of home wins. Last season, Goodison's final season, they only had 5 Premier League wins. It was the joint lowest in the club's history, along with 57-58 season. So they've got to sort of work to get that home advantage again. I mean, hopefully it's a good point that David Moyes has won by the Trent, and he's won by the against Nottingham Forest, and then won by the Thames at Fulham, didn't he? So hopefully we get it right by the Mersey. But there's a long way to go in that respect. But I felt that it was a time to celebrate. I mean, there's been like I said, other books charting the difficult times at Everton, but hopefully this is something Evertonians can cherish, and they can sort of respect and enjoy those tales of the past while actually looking forward to the future, the first time in a long time, really.
Let me ask you this, the final thing about the book, and we'll get on to the other stuff. How difficult is it when you're putting something like this together to decide what to leave out of it? I've always wondered that because obviously you just took 14 decades, crazy amount of games. What's important? You said, we were talking before we started, what's important to some people mightn't be important to others. So how difficult is it to decide what to put in and what not to put in?
Yeah, thankfully it is more difficult. It was like I always had more than what I needed. I wasn't saying, are we going to reach this 100? It was what I ended up taking out. So, there's never going to be a definitive list. Someone will probably come to me and says, well, why didn't you have that? Why didn't you have that? Why didn't you have that? And I'm just thinking, part of my problems with the 84-85 season. I think the one that sticks in there isn't in the book. I've not got the Sunderland game from 85 because there's so many other games from that season. Got the 5-0 against Manchester United. You got the title clinch against QPR. Obviously, you got Bayern Munich in there as well. So yeah, certainly for that season. And then obviously Sheedy's twice taken free kick was that season as well. So yeah, it was a problem at certain times. It'd be more of what do we actually leave out? But what I tried to do, obviously, there's more of slant for the modern era since I've been going the game. I mean, I'm old enough, so I'm pre-Premier League and I'm pre-Italia 90, but it is more sort of like from the last 35 years, I guess. But like I said, no era has been left out though. Yeah. Because at least that's one thing with Everton pre-Premier League, they're pretty consistent. They've not necessarily dominated one era of the game the way that other clubs have done, but I mean, their trophies have been actually won over 9 separate decades, which means only Liverpool and Manchester United can actually top that for longevity over a long period. So yeah, I try to incorporate every era, and like I say, there's at least one game from each of those decades to sort of have no sort of period in the club's history left out. But yeah, thankfully it was a nice problem to have of what to leave out rather than what's put in. And like as you're just about to show them, they're incredible illustrations. I've got to thank Paul Trevelyan, the artist there who did those illustrations. He's the world's #1 sports artist. I don't know if people used to know that. You Are the Ref, and he'd have all the refereeing quandaries and stuff like that, and it used to be in The Guardian. Keith Hackett, the referee, would do the refereeing questions, but it was Paul Trevelyan who do all the illustrations for that. And yeah, he's obviously, we tried to have a bit of it. Again, that was actually the biggest problem. Who did we leave out on the cover? I was absolutely gutted because I wanted to have all the Holy Trinity in there, but we kind of had to sort of shave it down and only end up with Howard Kendall from the 3 of them. I was a bit upset about that, but incredible illustrations, the ones we did get on there.
Moisey with his grey hair.
We've got Moisey 2.0 on there. Get it up to date.
So there you go. It's Spirits of the Blues by Chris. Go and check it out. Where can they get it, Chris?
Just on Amazon. Go straight to Amazon, type in Spirit of the Blues, and there it is.
There you go.
Easy
it's brilliant. 100 games at Goodison Park. There's, like you said, whether you're familiar with all of that, and you just want to refresh your memory, or there's bits you're not familiar with, or you want a keepsake of Goodison Park really and all the best games, go and buy the book. If you're just a relatively new Evertonian, you're getting into it and you want to flesh out the history of the football club, go and get involved. Amazon gets shipped to anywhere in the world, so go and check it out. Chris, we were over in the United States. We've seen all of Everton's pre-season, haven't you, as well, so far, and what have you made sort of where the club has, or how the club has sort of moved forward in this summer? Obviously, David Moyes come in, he had half a season. He only lost 4 games, which was excellent. You know, we had a brilliant second half of the season. One thing was consistent right the way through his press conferences, and you'll have been there for a lot of them, was him talking about we need more quality, we need to improve this squad. We were over in the US and he doubled down on saying the same thing. And obviously at the time of recording, Everton have just completed the signing of Jack Grealish, as well as obviously Dewsbury Hall and the other players, Asnu, Alcaraz made permanent, Sienno Barry and kind of players. So what have you sort of made with Everton's transfer business over this window?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was going to say on the back of Jack Grealish, I'm glad with this warm weather we've got our calves out.
Calves out for Jack. It is roasting in the studio as well. By the way.
Nice breeze from the fan there. But, the 2 elements I think to the tour, and what I thought actually went really well was the off the pitch stuff and promoting the Everton brand, so we can come back to that. But as the most important thing in every football club is the football itself, and I think the gaffer has been quite firm about this. He's admitted the pre-season's not been good for Everton in terms of the performances or the results. I know people say it's not the be all and end all of things, but you don't want to be like getting into the habit of losing all those games. And it was a bit of a sort of a boost to at least end the US tour with that improved performance and result against Manchester United, where they probably should have and could have won if it not been for a ridiculous refereeing decision. The referee actually admitted retrospectively he got it wrong, the Tarkowski penalty. So yeah, the manager's pulled no punches about that, the same way he's been about the transfers and his frustration. Yeah, you can see those holes in the side where he's able to do, like you say, a really good job in the Premier League, getting them up to 13th. As he rightly kept reminding us, it was only Bournemouth out of those 4 clubs who'd finished above Everton. It was incredible, really. They finished above Manchester United and West Ham. But if you looked at where those squads were in the USA and where Everton were to their rivals, just look at the bench and the team sheet. The fact that they
one of the games, I think we only have 5 subs, didn't we?
Ridiculous. Certainly in terms of the players, players you'd probably say I could trust and put out there. It was filled up with a few kids and stuff like that. But yeah, the rest of the other teams were able to make wholesale changes. I mean, we saw this in Premier League games, but it's happening in pre-season as well in terms of just shifting the bench and getting people on. But yeah, what it also meant is those ones that Moyes felt he could trust were having to really get the minutes in. Okay, that's good on the one that they're going to be fit, but you don't want to be getting burnt out in pre-season, especially a lot of those hot temperatures they were playing in. So yeah, I think from a playing point of view, it was tough out there. They did not exactly set the world alight at Accrington Stanley or Blackburn before they went out there. So you had a late equaliser at Accrington and then a 1-0 defeat at Blackburn, and then obviously they had the behind closed doors at
won that one, Chris.
yeah, that's the only one that they won when nobody was there to see it. But yeah, it was tough on the pitch, but you could see progression in difficult circumstances in terms of the players they had available, and that right side, right wing. we know the gaffer said it's been a priority, but for whatever reason you've just not been able to bring in those players, and obviously it was a fine sort of balancing act with Dibbling from Southampton. Obviously he's a hugely exciting prospect, but I'm going to use a technical term here. You don't want your kecks pulled down by Southampton. In terms
do you think that's over? Yeah. Do you think that's over? Or do you think Everton are still playing a big game of chess with now, or both clubs are playing a game of chess?
I wouldn't say it was over in that Southampton are probably realistic and they know that they have to. Well, they don't have to, but they know that a sale is a distinct possibility for. They've admitted that every player has a price, but when you're getting told 50 million, which off it just to start with would be an Everton club record, and then 25% of any sort of future fee. And you don't want to be disrespectful here, because the same way when Manchester United came calling for Jarrad Branthwaite last summer, but that didn't get anywhere near Everton's market value for the player. Everton are quite close there now, so for those extra bits and pieces, it seemed a bit of a step too far. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was over. It'd be interesting. I think that Southampton's sort of assessing their position in the coming days, so we're waiting, seeing that one. So definitely wouldn't say it was over, but I think there's got to be some sort of genuine negotiation where you kind of meet in the middle, rather than Southampton, which my understanding is they haven't budged on it, saying no, this is the price, and then the counter offer. So yeah, that right side of the pitch, that needs remedying, and we sort of saw that out there. So yeah, on the one hand, football wasn't great, and that is the most important thing. But I thought in terms of promoting the global brand and to that American audience, I think we both saw when we were out there. It might sound sort of a glib phrase, but I think there is an Everton family, is a global Everton family, especially in the USA, those enthusiastic supporters, and there's a real sort of affection and passion for Everton over there, so that was really good to see.
What do you think? Because I think what this tour did was sort of, I was out there in the last time we were there, 2022, and it was similar. When you haven't seen it before, you're sort of like, wow, this is mad. So we were out in Baltimore, and it was absolutely rammed of Evertonians. Minnesota was the same. But then this time I've seen New York, Chicago and Atlanta, it was even more. And I think Everton are brilliant. They've done a brilliant job of providing fan events and stuff. That was really good. One of the slight criticisms I've heard from both sides, of like from over here and over there, was, or not a criticism, but maybe a pointer for next time they go. How can they grab fans who don't know they're Evertonians yet? So they've done a great job. They've done a brilliant job at reboosting everyone, re-enthusing the Evertonians that are Evertonians. People who've made that choice already. What else can you do? Because we saw things like Bournemouth giving free scarves and hats away and things like that. And West Ham seemed to make a big thing of being out there. They hired Times Pele Soccer in Times Square, got a London cab out there, done a lot of promotion. They've done a lot of promotion that way. So do you think maybe if they go back, and they will go back because they've got American owners, maybe next time there'll be a little bit more of a reach to try to do what you've done, but maybe a little bit more to do to try and grab people who maybe don't know they're Evertonians right now, because it's important they grow the brand, isn't it?
Yeah, perhaps so, because I think, it's no good sort of looking back, but I think there were missed opportunities back in the noughties. Obviously, a lot of those American Evertonians, back to Tim Howard.
Absolutely, yeah. And Landon Donovan, the two of them, huge stars.
So I think I remember back in the day there was one trip they went to the USA and Tim Howard didn't even play or stuff like that.
They brought him onto Wave.
So I think more should have been made back then, and same with Australia with Tim Cahill. They only went towards the end. Was it 2010? So
he was
a couple of years before he was on his way. So maybe that's an historical issue, but in terms of growing the brand, to be fair to them, I know they were doing events over at that the American Dream Mall, which was opposite the MetLife Stadium where they played the first game, and I met Howard Kendall's son, Simon Kendall, who lives out in New Jersey. We did a podcast with him there. We were both outside of our comfort zone. It wasn't like in here. I mean, there's people, there were kids going around on like these My Little Ponies and animals and stuff. I said,
I'll win them all.
I said somebody's going to get hurt, and sure enough, one of the My Little Ponies, the unicorns, nearly caught somebody a couple of inches from disaster from catching somebody. But I know that when Everton went out there, they had a few of the players. They were calling it the Goodison experience, putting the headsets on, sort of trying to catch people. But maybe you do a bit more of that going forward, because, like you say, there's a lot of Evertonians who, for whatever reason, whether it's Tim Howard or some other reason, have chosen to be Blues, and maybe those floating supporters, there's a huge market out there, isn't it? Because football's growing, and I'm not too sure how that would go, how you go about it, but that would be something to be looked at, because they've been absolutely good as gold with those Evertonians, like we said, the open training event.
Oh, those great events.
The quiz, the fan welcomes.
The cruise in Chicago.
The cruise,
it was good, wasn't it, to be on that as well. It was a nice night and everything. So they did a really good job. They done miles more than any of the other like the other clubs. I'm saying, they tried to grab this. What I'm saying is, I want my club to keep growing. So they've done a fantastic job with the fan events. Particularly people like Mo Magazzatti was running like a bloody headless chicken at times.
He was doing a lot. He was doing a lot.
They were all busy running around. So they've done a really good job with that. And now it's like, can we, when we go back, what else can we do to maybe grab the others? But they've done way more than any of the other clubs out there, and that was great to see. Great for those fans who are getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and people who were going to sort of AJ Hudson's bar. We spoke to Jamie who owned that there, and people are driving 40 minutes to get to that bar to watch Everton at 6 o'clock, half 6 in the morning, which is mad, isn't it? So it was great for them people to actually get the opportunity to see Everton over in the flesh. Looking ahead now, I mean, let's talk just quickly about Jack Grealish, because me personally, I think it's a tremendous signing for Everton. I know some people have got reservations, others, and most of what I've seen, to be fair, are all in on him, Evertonians, because simply he's an outstanding footballer, and Everton don't have too many outstanding footballers. He's got a lot of hard workers. People like Ilham and Jai are brilliant, and so he's going to have someone else who gets people off the seat. Thought Dewsbury Hall looked excellent at the weekend in his first game. So David Moyes in the last week or so has brought 2 really good footballers into complement and Jai. So Jack Grealish, what are your thoughts on him?
I think it's got to be a good thing. Hopefully, the fact that it's loan as well, as it's a chance to see Jack Grealish going to be really motivated. He knows it's a World Cup year, and this is going to be his last realistic chance to get something like that. It was interesting because it's been going on for almost 2 months now. We know since the very start of the summer there's been those whispers about Everton, and they've grown and grown. Alan Stubbs has been doing it.
Yeah, Stubbs done his way.
Stubbs, he's been doing it a night out on holiday. And it was interesting at the start of the summer when Jack was first linked. It was actually a really good Twitter, or X as we should call it now, debate where you don't tend to get that. It's kind of like you either agree with me or you pile on if you don't. And people were actually quite articulate both ways of the pros and cons, because we know about all that. I think most of the cons was all about the cost, what people are saying, because of his, obviously he's on huge wages, and how we're Everton going to get on about that after the sort of the crazy spending of the Farhad Mashiri years. He didn't want to return to that, but he's obviously a player who the manager really rates. when he first came to Manchester City 4 years ago, Moyes was on record as saying he felt he was the best player in the Premier League at the time. So what he's got now is a manager who believes in him and will try and play to his strengths, because I think what we saw at the start, obviously when he was at Aston Villa, his boyhood club, he was the main man there, and it would all be based around Grealish, whereas at City he's part of there's so many superstars there, and it is just pass. That's the way they play. That's Pep's philosophy, and has brought Guardiola huge success over the years, but not necessarily the best for Jack Grealish in terms of all that overpassing and the way that they play the game. So for him, the way he operates and like get the arm around the shoulder from David Moyes again, and Evertonians are gonna hope they want to adore him. They want to have somebody that sort of idol. I think colleagues of mine were talking about it yesterday saying, when was the last time they had a superstar like that? It's probably James Rodriguez, but again, that was again a bit like the Port Vale game. Nobody was there. There to see him. So. Yeah, it's a huge. He's instantly he's the best outfield player in terms of talent. He walks in terms of what he can bring to the table, and I think he actually genuinely. I mean, all players when they come saying, I want to be here, but I think it just seems to be a genuine sort of appreciation of what Evertonians have done already for him in terms of they've had the charm offensive this summer in terms of wanting him and saying that Jack Grealish can be a big part of our plans. So yeah, I think he's hugely motivated. He knows he needs to deliver. I think if you actually look at his numbers at City, a lot's been made out. It's been a while since he got an assist or whatever, but I looked at his general contributions. He's not like he's fallen off a cliff for whatever reason. It's gone sour for him. He's surplus to requirements at City. Pep's made a decision on that score, and but yeah, it's not like he's over the hill. Obviously, he's turning 30 next month, so he's becoming a senior player. But it really is just a big opportunity for both of them. If you think that all the relegation battles Everton have been in recent seasons, did well to finish 13th last season, but to get a player of Jack Grealish's calibre, there's actually a real sort of statement of intent from both the manager and the new owners. So we all know that there's going to be sort of like the jury's out until he delivers. But if everyone can get behind this, there's going to be a lot of love behind Jack Grealish. And like you said, that excitement, get people out the seats the same way in Dyer can, same way we saw with Dewsbury Hall on Saturday. So have those three sort of interchanging those attacking positions. It can actually make, hopefully, going the game sort of fun again rather than a chore, because it has been a chore in recent seasons.
If in terms of if you were looking at how they may line up as well, obviously we've just talked about there, and Ilman and Jai may for now be put on the right hand side where he plays
Someone's
for Senegal.
Go there.
Well, exactly. He plays there for Senegal, but Moyes, I don't think David Moyes sees him out there, but I think maybe he'll go out there for Leeds unless Everton do bring someone in. But even if Everton bring in a sort of right-sided player, and then you've got Njai off the left, a lot of talk about Grealish being in the 10.
Yeah.
Then I think it's really interesting, because then that means Dewsbury Hall and Garner are going to play behind as two almost players who just rat about breaking stuff up. Dewsbury Hall's very good in possession as well. Yeah. So I think all of a sudden it flips Everton into being a really offensive team, as long as the core's strong at the back, which is what the manager likes. No issue with that. And with O'Brien and Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Michalenko's injured at the moment. We don't know how serious that is yet, but it was huge to have Branthwaite and Tarkowski back for him at the weekend. You've seen that, and even Tarkowski back for United game when we were in Atlanta made a huge difference. But those solid base with everything else playing ahead could change the way Everton are this season, couldn't it? Yeah,
it's a different way of playing, and Moyes himself has evolved. I mean, I think he used to get a bit of a bad rap in terms of people. He certainly did at West Ham United and the way he was treated there.
But they're pining for him now, aren't they? A lot of their fans.
He brings the first trophy in 43 years, and I think we had some sort of quotes this week. I can't remember which player it was talking about it, saying that Everton a bigger club than West Ham United. I was like, come on! I mean, until David Moyes had come along, I think that was the first time that he even had like back-to-back finishes of finishing in the top 7, something like that. So yeah, he gets a bad rap from some people, Moisey, in terms of his style, and that he evolved first time round at Everton, and he's moved on from that. He's first and foremost, he wants to get the defence right, and I think that's the bedrock for every team. He wants to build that strong spine around Tarkowski, Branthwaite and Pickford at the back, but he's bringing those players in those more attacking positions. It was interesting, I spoke to Kieran Dewsbury Hall after the game on Saturday, and I asked him, was that the role he saw himself going forward in that number 10, as it were? And he said so. But like you say, with Grealish through the door now, maybe straight away.
Yeah, he's moved about. Yeah.
He's versatile enough to do that. To be fair, he can play out wide or in those deeper positions, and I think he can be effective wherever he is on the pitch. But it'd be nice just to have those options, so you're not that predictable, because that's been part of the thing with Everton. Through necessity or through tactics or whatever, you kind of know what you're going to get with Everton in recent years, and opponents have been able to do that. But yeah, mix it up, put Dewsbury Hall either in the 10-1 game, goes back deeper another game, out wide, whatever, and same with Jack Grealish and the other attacking midfielders. So yeah, wouldn't it be nice to have that sort of not just the maverick approach, but the versatility in those attacking areas to mix things up while having that solid defensive base behind. And there we go. We're talking about the one win all pre-season, and all of a sudden we're optimistic again.
But that's it, though, isn't it? Because I think Everton historically don't do great in pre-season. No. You know, I've seen a few years ago when Sean Dyche was here, we didn't lose in pre-season, and then we didn't win for 7 games once the season started. Other ones, we've looked terrible in pre-season and hit the ground running. So it's difficult, you know, it's difficult to know exactly what's what. And McCarlo, we drew 3-3 with bloody Blackpool, we were 3-0 down, things like that. Yeah. And we won the first 7 games. So you just never know. It's until the real stuff starts, you never know. But I think our memories, Chris, will be that normally Everton season starts after the first international break. Yeah. You know, the first 3 games are a bit of one of them, and then we seem to sort of kick on from there. Hopefully that won't be the case this time around. We've got 6 in. Yeah. We were both in the room and the manager said he wants 10. Yeah. He's still talking about he wants another 4 players in, 2 right wingers, a centre midfield player, and then maybe another full back. Yeah. Probably be a right back, maybe. They tried to get one, but if you were to sort of predict now how many more you think they'll get in and what areas, what would you go for? Yeah,
I think it's got to be the right wing. It has to be number 1 for me. And I think you're the same mind, aren't you? Yeah. You're probably in an ideal world you get 2 right wingers. Because if you look at it, you had Jack Harrison and Jesper Lindstrom both on loan last season. They've both gone. Neither of them were sort of hitting the marks that they should have done. I mean, they've got potential in the lockers, but for whatever reason didn't really happen for either of those 2 last season. So you're probably looking at 2 right wingers. And the fact that they were in for Kenny Tete earlier in the window suggests that right back, although I thought Jake O'Brien looked really good.
I think he is going to play right back all season, because I think Moyes likes the solidity. If you go and call him Maverick, but if you've got someone like Tyler Dibling, and Everton have been linked with Fatawu as well this week from Leicester, if they got those 2, wow, that'd be the sort of it. One's lightning and pace and the other one's a really good ball carrier. But if you had, just let's use Dibling, because that's who Everton have seemed to have bid for the most this summer, in front of O'Brien, then you've got that solidity behind to let him go and do what you want. I understand the fullbacks are huge, as in hugely important to get forward. Jake O'Brien is huge. And you want him bombing on. And on Saturday, bless him, he was the only one who was on the right-hand side. We seemed to play with no right, and it was just O'Brien to get forward. But so I do wonder if no matter who we bring in now, O'Brien will be the right back, but that might lean into bringing in a younger right back. Then maybe you can grow over the season, but because it looks like, for whatever reason, it's not going to happen for Nathan Patterson, doesn't it? That seems to be he's injured again now. Yeah. It seems like, I don't know. And Seamus got on the pitch for 8 minutes at the weekend, but I'm not sure Everton are looking at him as a fully reliable backup for the whole season. So. Yeah, right back could be an option. Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible, isn't it, for Seamus? It's come full circle. What, we on 16 years nearly since his debut against Benfica. He's back at left back.
He's back at left back. He's done all right for 8 minutes.
Yeah, because you know, Adam Asnu, obviously, he's got a lot of promise for the future. Right? It was a tough debut for him.
He just wants to go forward, doesn't he? That's his thing.
Mikalenko getting injured early on, and it's ironic, and to finally get an alternative left back, and then he struggles on his first outing. But yeah, I really like the way that O'Brien goes about it, and I probably agree with you. I think you're probably seeing that because hopefully if Branthwaite and Tarkowski can stay fit, well, there's not an opening for him in the mid unless he decides to switch it up and go with 3 centre-backs. So, yeah, I mean, I call him the court Cafu, and I'm only half joking. Jake O'Brien. Yeah. Branthwaite's the Carlisle Kaiser, and Jake O'Brien's the court Cafu.
You're getting them all out there.
But yeah, I like that. He's actually looked probably better going forward than sometimes at the back, which is obviously his natural position. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes at right back because, as you say, for whatever reason, Nathan Patterson seems to be one unfortunate. He's had a good go. He's pre-season. He's had a few outings. You can't say that he's not had a chance this summer, and then unfortunately
he's played the most minutes till he got the injury.
Yeah. So for him to say, I think they were assessing it when they got back about he was showing signs of a hernia. So that's not great, is it? So yeah, and he said various players played out of position, including O'Brien and then Ben Godfrey before that.
James Garner's even done the job a couple of times.
It's unfortunate, really, but things just don't seem to have fallen right for Nathan Patterson. So yeah, and then like you say, Seamus Coleman, absolute diamond in the dressing room, but old Father Time's catching up with him in terms of there's nobody more determined to be out there than him, but for whatever reason, the body is struggling. He's been ultra fit for all those years, but I mean we've seen he's tantalisingly only a few appearances actually of breaking into the all-time Everton top 10. He's not too far behind Dixie Dean and Leon Osman, kicking those two out the top 10, but whether he gets there or not, so it'll be interesting to see how they go about right back, but right wing, that's got to be the area for me.
And then the final one, because these are 2 areas of questions. Obviously Harrison Armstrong, who we'd seen over in the US, and Yusuf Chimiti. So both young, Harrison's younger than Yusuf, obviously. Is it, in your opinion, a loan's best for those 2 players? See, my quick sort of view on it is Yusuf, there's no point keeping him and giving him 5 minutes here and there. He's never going to develop, and we're never going to know whether he can step up or not. For me, he needs to go and play games. I think his Everton minutes add up to 3 games so far, and he's made something like 24 appearances.
Yeah, all those little cameos.
The little on for 2 minutes. So I think he's got to go on loan. And then Harrison Armstrong has not looked out of place at all.
Yeah.
But you think it's better for his development if he went, and maybe Everton could put like a recall clause in, because obviously the AFCON's on in January, we might need someone back. Do you think it's better for him to go alone or to stay? What do you think with those?
I'm probably pretty close to you on this one. For Chimiti, I think because he's got to learn English football. I mean, he's when he's had those little cameos, he's had a few nice moments, bits and pieces, but he's got to sort of learn the way.
Never looked like scoring a goal, though.
So I think for him, he would have probably gone on loan last season, but because of the injuries, that sort of scuppered that. So for me, Chimiti, I'd send him out. He's been interesting. He's been kind of coming in on the left-hand side, just a way of getting him on the pitch in pre-season. So I'd send him out. Yeah, the jury's still out on Harrison Armstrong, and maybe it depends on who they can get through the door between now and the transfer deadline, because he hasn't looked out of place. You're right there. He looked really good in both, either as the more advanced roles or the deeper midfield roles. He's looked decent. So I think are you going to be able to give Harrison Armstrong the minutes if he stays, or is it better going out? Because I know they loved him at Derby County. One of my mates, a Derby County season ticket holder, and they'd love to see him back there. So whether it's them or another Championship club, I think that one depends on who Everton can get between now and deadline day, and then you make a decision on Harrison Armstrong, whether he's better off, if he's going to get the minutes here, or whether he has to go to the Championship and get those, because he's a really exciting, probably the best one they've had in a long time in terms of the homegrown prospects. So I think it depends who they get.
Yeah, I agree. Chris, thank you very much for coming in. Make sure you buy Chris's book, Spirit of the Blues. Give yourself the history, get all of those 100 games, refresh your memory on some of them, and maybe learn stuff on the others. Why wouldn't you? Available on Amazon right now. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. See you later.